Catch me, warrior. Catch me. Catch me. Catch me, warrior. Catch me. Catch me.
That's good. I'm not sure when I became aware of Bega's battle. It just sort of showed up in my notes one day as a neat video topic. I've only ever seen sparse footage of it before, but I remember it leaving a really strong impression on me. It's easier if I explain a bit of backstory of where this thing came from. Bega's battle is actually a tie-in to a 1983 sci-fi anime film titled Harmageddon. Yeah, really. Also known as Genma Taisen, aka Genma Wars. The film itself is adapted from a manga of the same name, written by Kazumasa Hirai and illustrated by Shotaro Ishinomori, who you may know for creating both Kamen Rider and Super Sentai, which basically shaped the entirety of Japanese superhero fiction to this day. One of their first collaborations was a manga called 8-Man, the very first Japanese android superhero. It's clear that they both had a penchant for stories about superpowered characters, robots, and contemporary settings, and that resulted in Genma Wars, later adapted into Harmageddon. It follows Joe Azuma, a Japanese high schooler who discovers he has psychic powers and is recruited by the robot warrior Bega and the Transylvanian princess Luna to fight Genma, a galaxy-destroying psychic force of evil. Now, I haven't read the manga, so I can't really speak on the quality of it, but the movie is very bad. I watched it with my girlfriend, and she said, "What did you think, babe?"
That was easily one of the worst things we watched together.
That sucked. Which is saying a lot, because this exists. It would have been better suited as a TV series. The film has a lot of start-stop moments that feel like separate manga arcs smashed together and hyper-compressed. As a result, nothing is ever really expanded on, so there's a bunch of characters you know barely anything about, and there's no real immediate conflict besides this looming threat of Genma arriving. Sometimes a city gets wrecked. It's kind of random. Oh my god, no, we have fucking 40 minutes left. Like 50. What the fuck is supposed to happen after this? This feels like the middle of the manga. The film just ends up meandering from one plot beat to another without anything flowing organically. It's a giant... meh. That wasn't great. It also grossed an inflation-adjusted $16.9 million, making it the highest-grossing anime film of the year and the 8th highest-grossing Japanese film of the year. As part of its marketing blitz, the creators of the film licensed an official video game adaptation by Data East, who would use an exciting new technology to bring the movie to arcades.
Presenting Laser Vision. The world on a silver platter.
Laserdisc, developed only a few years earlier in 1978, was a home video format that used these gigantic discs to get higher quality audio and visuals than VHS tapes. Think of it like the vinyl to VHS's cassette. It never really took off in most of the world owing to how expensive it was, but Japan loved it. Some innovative game devs wondered if Laserdisc could be used for their funny little flashing light button presses. The best known titles to use it are easily Dragon's Lair and Space Ace, produced by animation legend Don Bluth himself. Years before that, though, in 1982, Sega would be the first to take advantage of it with Astron Belt, a pretty simple game that I wouldn't be surprised to learn influenced their later shmups like Space Harrier and Panzer Dragoon. As Harmageddon was such a visual spectacle, the devs at Data East probably wanted to show it off to get people's attention. Thus, they would develop the second Laserdisc game ever, Bega's Battle. Yeah, not Vega, Bega. Side note, Japanese doesn't have a true V sound, so they have to Frankenstein together these really fucked up looking letter combinations. There's also no standardized way to write V sounds, so whoever localizes a word first gets to decide how it's spelled. It's a mess. Vega's name is technically written like this, which is pronounced Bega, so I can't blame the translators too much. The first thing that struck me about this game is how ethereal it feels. There's very little music present, save for the intro, meaning that everything takes place on these apocalyptic, sometimes surreal backdrops with nothing but ambient noise. It's very empty, and the score that is present is uneasy. Being a loose adaptation of an already loosely assembled film, Bega's Battle has a nightmarish quality to it, like you're passing from one desolate scene to another with no rhyme or reason. I've always been captivated by these old Japanese depictions of calamity and Armageddon. It has this quality to it that's difficult to pin down. I think most of it comes from the fact that the atom bomb was still well within living memory, but there's this somberness to it that I don't see often. The second thing that stuck out to me is that this game sucks. It's worse than the movie. It is a very simple gallery shooter in the style of Space Invaders, Galaga, and the like. These kinds of games are often some of the first that a designer will make on their own. Kind of a foot-in-the-door project to get used to developing games. They're small-scope titles where there's not a lot to mess up, just basic stuff like moving, shooting, enemies. Well, somehow Data East managed to mess it up. First, Vega, or Bega, is huge! He's so tall, and there's a lot of vulnerable space on either side of him where you can't do anything. That might not be so bad if the enemies weren't handled in the worst way ever. You can probably already tell from the footage, but they have completely random patterns. The spawn locations are set, but the way they dart around the screen is so erratic that you can just get screwed out of hitting or avoiding them. I think they have some sort of logic in at least a few stages, but it's absolutely infuriating. The first stage has you catching Luna, who apparently doesn't want to be caught.
Catch me, warrior. Catch me. Catch me.
There's a couple stages like this, and the characters you need to grab have to be programmed to avoid you. There's no other way. Like, look at this. Anyway, once you collect a few Lunas, you need Joe, who's Irish?
There you go, chum. Bring me in on the team. Got some of them special powers myself.
Joe functions like an option once you have him and gives you access to the PK Barrier ability, which you can use to shield yourself from damage. Things get a lot easier with an extra shot. Oh. He's just gone. Like, I can't get him back. In Stage 5, you have to recruit Sony, who's referred to as Sonny in the film. This character's segment is so weird in the movie. They go to apocalyptic New York where racist cops are gunning down black people, including Sonny, aka Michael Jackson, and Vega's like, "Hey Luna!" Oh, this is Luna now? She has a complete redesign between scenes. I kind of dig it, actually. He goes, "Hey Luna, why haven't you contacted Sonny with your mind? Is it because he's black?" And Luna's like, "Monday? Huh?" Then Sonny gets captured by a cop who's actually a demon cop and makes him turn into a giant ball of lava, and it's rampaging through the completely empty streets of New York. So Vega's like, "I'll go fight the lava ball. You stay here and fight your racism, white woman." then he shoots his completely ineffectual laser at it, which is weird too. It like pops out of his shoulder and then he loads his arm into it. So he decides, fuck it, load the titty cannon, and shoots acid rain into the sky. Also, Luna uses her powers to call like 100 characters to the scene who never do anything. Anyway, I catch Sunny and he gives me the power to teleport. In the movie, he's able to phase through matter and stuff, so in-game they adapted this by making it move you back a few stages. It's a power-up that deletes your progress. Were they trying to make a shitty game? The one upside of this is that I can get more Joes before moving on. With the power of Joe and Sunny, I'm doing pretty well. Oh, well, I died, and Sunny died right after because you can't stop that from happening, which is really cool. Oh, and there goes Joe. And Luna. Now I'm actually turbo fucked. See, Luna is who makes the other characters appear. You have a limited amount of her, and she only shows up in the first level. As the game goes on, it gets more and more aggressive to the point that you basically need to have at least one other shot. It just keeps going and going and going. I get all the way to stage 9, and I think there can't be that much more left. How many stages are in this game? 24? The one redeeming factor of this game is the visuals, but even that is taken from the film. And the reason the film looks so good is because it was actually done by Studio Madhouse and had Katsuhiro Otomo as a key animator. Now, you might have heard of him. He did this little movie. A lot of people haven't heard of it. It was called Akira. This was after he wrote the original manga, but his work on Harmageddon directly led him to creating one of the most influential anime ever. Also, fun fact, this random Taiwanese girl who shows up, Tao, was the direct inspiration for Chun-Li. What were all those other random characters we saw?
Oh, the god Chun-Li Akinator.
Yeah. Was the initial basis for the character design of Chun-Li. What?
See, I was joking this entire time, but see, look at that.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm disappointed. This game has some neat aspects, but most of them are unintentional and come from the film. Bega himself is also just like a terrible robot design. Like, he looks stupid. I really wanted this to be a look at an underappreciated gem on an obscure format, but I don't know, just it turned into a bunch of slop. Fuck it. This is a Time Gal video now. Released in 1985 by Taito, Time Gal is kind of an anime Dragon's Lair featuring about 15 minutes of animation by Toei. The story is very straightforward. There's a guy, apparently named Luda, who's stolen a time machine and is going back in time to conquer the world. The main character, Reika, uses a personal time machine to track him down and put a stop to his plans. Unfortunately, I guess the small form factor comes at the cost of being incredibly imprecise, as she has to jump around over a dozen different time periods before she can finally find him. Much like the story, the gameplay isn't going for anything too crazy. Like its genre compatriots, it's a series of quick-time events where an object or area on screen will flash, along with a button prompt, and you need to react fast enough to save Reika. The big twist with this game is that at certain points, she has to stop time and you're given a multiple-choice decision. Only one is the correct option, which is kind of annoying if I was spending real money on this, because it's just trial and error, but it's not that big of a deal. This is sort of the opposite of Bega's Battle in spirit. Both games are very simple. but where BB messes up all the little details and becomes frustrating as all hell, Time Gal is consistently pleasant. Every single failed QTE has an accompanying clip, and while they aren't the craziest thing in the world, they're kind of funny and cute. It alleviates some of the frustration. Time Gal herself is adorable. She's a very classical, cute, sexy anime girl in a skimpy outfit, but she's always having a good time in spite of the fact that she can't catch a break. I'm serious, as soon as she time travels anywhere, 100 things want to kill her, and she's just... Fun fact, because this was released in '85, Reika is one of the very first female protagonists in a video game. Neat. The frustration of the deaths is definitely offset by the fact that the game isn't that hard. Once you do a sequence once or twice, it's pretty easy to memorize, and some are as short as 3 QTEs. It also has a very forgiving continue system. There are checkpoints in most levels, and getting a game over merely starts you from the beginning of the level and resets your score. This is also the arcade version I'm emulating, meaning that I can just hit a button and get credits. This version was a pain in the ass to get a hold of in working form, so a shout out to this guy. Time Gal would be released for the Sega CD, PlayStation, and Saturn in the following years, where it gained a cult following. I think that was more among anime fans than strictly gaming fans, because while I like it, I would not pay $60 for it. Speaking of those home releases, Laserdisc games went out of style with the development of DVD technology, which was substantially cheaper to manufacture and less, gigantic. Games like Time Gal and Dragon's Lair benefit tremendously from the passion that was put into them, and even if they're not very ambitious in terms of gameplay, I can't help but smile at them. I had a great time with Time Gal. The animation is gorgeous, the main character's fun, and it's not everyone's cup of tea, but a decent reaction and memory test can be satisfying. It lasts only as long as it needs to, and then you save the day. Good job, Reika. If there's anything I want you to take from this video, it's that I love Time Gal. She is very cute and pretty. Genma Wars, the movie, is bad, but the manga might be good. I read the plot summary. It looks like it gets weird. Laserdisc games, like all new formats, are wrought with experimentation. I don't try to seek out bad games on this channel. I just look for games that seem interesting. It just so happens that when you aren't doing something tried and true, you realize there's a reason those things are tried and true. Experimentation often does not work out, but sometimes you can end up with something really cool. And that's why it's worth it, both to try making new things and to seek them out. So I would encourage you, the viewer at home, to do the same and look for interesting, boundary-pushing, different stuff. I have a podcast and a Patreon. Bye.
Here comes a daredevil. Game over.